Hello and welcome to episode 6 of PEDRO'S Movie Podcast. I am your host. My name is Pedro, and this is where I talk about movies unfiltered and with no idea of where I'm going to go with this talk. But I do want to start off with something. With the previous videos that I've posted on YouTube, the brief history of post-apocalyptic movies, there's a lot of people who have pointed out that I missed off certain movies such as Things to Come and On the Beach. Now, Things to Come I completely forgot about. That is completely on me. Yes, I completely forgot about Things to Come. And when it comes to like On the Beach, and I've mentioned this in comments and I mentioned it in the video as well, I do not see On the Beach as an apocalyptic movie. It's a movie that deals with the possibility or the inevitability of the end of the world. But technically, to me, it's a military drama where nothing really happens until the last 20 minutes or so of the film, where the clock starts to count down. Don't get me wrong, On the Beach is a phenomenal movie, probably one of the best war movies to deal with that sort of subject matter. But it's not a post-apocalyptic movie, or it's not an apocalyptic movie in my eyes. But that's a personal opinion. That's why I left it off. Also, the videos are called A Brief History, which means I'm not going to go into every single film from certain decades. It would take me hours and hours and hours to cover every single movie. Like the 1970s, there's a lot I probably missed off. I can understand that there's probably a lot I missed off. And the 80s is going to be so hard to do to the point where I'm going to split it into two parts. It's going to be part 3A and part 3B because there's so much stuff that came out in the 80s that is post-apocalyptic that I can't cover in one movie. Specifically the 70s one was difficult because there were films that I could have talked about that I haven't actually got around to seeing. I wanted to talk about Stalker, but I've never seen it. I wanted to talk a bit more about Ravagers, but I haven't actually managed to watch the entire film yet. There's films like Gas or Glenn and Randa, Idaho Transfer. There's all these movies that I wanted to talk about that I couldn't talk about because I haven't seen them and I have no information about those films. But the ones that I did cover were the heavy hitters, were the big ones: Logan's Run, The Omega Man, No Blade of Grass. These are the ones that I covered, and there was some obscure ones like Quintet and obviously Ravagers, which I mentioned at the end. But it's very hard to nail down every single post-apocalyptic film in a 40 or so minute video. And now, like I said, the 80s one is going to be 10 times harder because I have to cover a lot of stuff because a lot came out. So I'm going to have to pick and choose some obscurities and some more obviously well-known ones. So we're going to see things like The Road Warrior. We're going to see things like Terminator, because Terminator does have post-apocalyptic sequences in it. I'm going to have to talk about these type of movies. But I'm also going to talk about things like Blood of Heroes and Steel Dawn and Radioactive Dreams in the aftermath. So I'm going to cover a lot of stuff, but I also need to go into the Italian rip-offs, and I need to go into the Filipino rip-offs, and I need to just cover the really shit low-budget post-apocalyptic films that tried to copy Mad Max in the wake of The Road Warrior coming out. And like I said, it's going to be two parts. I can't do it all in one part. It's going to be virtually impossible to do the 80s in one part. The 90s might be able to do in one part, and the 2000s, but the 80s is going to be the hardest decade to do. And someone pointed out that I take it on as constructive criticism that I need to start scripting stuff. But when I start scripting stuff and I try to read it, it just sounds like I'm reading something. And the one thing I like about my channel is that I do just talk. Yes, there are moments where I sound like I'm repeating myself, and I probably am. But there are also moments where I know what I'm talking about. I've researched this stuff. But I get where that commenter was coming from, saying, "Oh, it just sounds lazy that you're doing a video without any preparation." It was like, no, I've got preparation. I'm just not the. I'm not a public speaker. I sound shit when I try and record my voice. Like I tried to record something the other day, and I managed to do 8 minutes of recording, and it just sounded robotic because I was just reading from something, and then you find that you're mincing your words because you're trying to read it correctly and you're trying to pronounce words and enunciate just to make it clearer. Like I was doing a thing that I wrote about how the BBC uh, helped form and expand the genre in the 1970s and 80s, especially with television stuff. And I've put a lot of research into that, and I've written about 8 pages of prose about it, of journalistic words, I guess, about that. I've put a lot of research into it, deep diving into some dystopian and post-apocalyptic TV shows and some stuff that is sort of obscure in that genre. Like Noah's Castle is a very obscure television show. The change is not as much now, seeing as I think it was the BFI re-released it on DVD a couple of years ago, but looking at things like Tripods and Survivors and like dystopian TV shows from the 1980s, like 1990 with Edward Woodward. These are shows that are like almost non-existent to the general public, and if I can get information about them out to a wider audience, then that's the best thing I can do. But having to read off what I've written is really difficult to do without sounding like a robot. Now, I could have done it. I could have copy and pasted everything I wrote into an AI voice bot and used that, but that just defeats the whole. That's lazy. That defeats the whole purpose of me making a video. Like, I'm trying to get voiceovers more into the videos now by posting clips from stuff. And because I'm removing the audio from the clips, I'm not getting any copyright strikes. I'm getting copyright notices on the videos, but they are saying these are clips that are allowed by YouTube, and the owners have allowed the clips to be used in videos because I don't monetize anything on the channel. Nothing's monetized. I do it because I love movies. You know, if I wanted to make money off YouTube, I could monetize it. But like I just love talking about movies. And yeah, sometimes I might not have all the information, but it's a bit difficult. It's a bit different when I'm doing a podcast because I can go deep into my brain and find the information. But when I'm recording something, and I tend to record everything in one go, it's really difficult to access those information banks when I'm sat in front of my camera speaking about these films. Like I wrote something the other day to talk about when I was talking about the Omega Man, and I didn't even use it because it was information I needed. So what I used it as reference guide for when I was talking about the Omega Man, and it sort of worked. But there's moments where I really didn't like the audio, and now I've thought of maybe not doing it on camera, but just doing it as a voiceover and then overlaying overlaying trailers and clips and stuff onto the audio track. But my computer's not, well, my laptop's not strong enough or powerful enough to be able to do that. So until I get a more powerful laptop to be able to edit stuff correctly and properly and the way that I really want, then that's like the level of edited videos that you're going to get is what I'm putting out now. I mean, my setup is the most budget setup you will ever see. I've got a 250 quid laptop. I've got a second-hand monitor. widescreen monitor. I've got a $12.99 keyboard, USB-C keyboard, a $13.99 DVD drive, second-hand speakers off my brother, which are amazing, my £35 microphone, my iPad, which I haven't even finished paying for. Everything is so budget. Everything is hooked up to my laptop. So I've got a USB hub, which is plugged in. The speakers are plugged into the laptop. The keyboard is plugged into the laptop. The HDMI is plugged into the monitor and the laptop. And I've got the power cord plugged in to the laptop to keep the power on because the battery runs out super quickly. And the other thing I've got is the microphone, which is taking up the last port. Now I have to use the microphone for the videos, otherwise the audio just sounds absolutely god awful. I've been experimenting with Audacity and other audio recording and editing programs, but Audacity seems to be the best option at the moment. Now I'm trying to get the correct distance between the microphone and my mouth to be able to make the audio sound clear enough as it is. So I'm currently leaning against my desk with about 6 inches of space between my microphone and my mouth. That's why it's sounding fairly good. But if I lean back, you will see the difference in audio quality. So I've got to lean forward to be able to make the audio sound clear. And I'm going to do some post-processing on it anyway, so it will sound better. But yeah, everything is a learning curve when it comes to creating content online. Like I have had to learn editing, audio editing, and like how to speak to a camera. And while I absolutely adore it, it's very, very time consuming. And especially if I'm not making money off it, putting this time into learning this craft of content creation, especially at 41 years old, is really difficult and really time consuming. Like I said, even though I enjoy it, and this is what I want to do for a living, if I'm not getting paid for it, then why am I doing it? I'm doing it because I enjoy doing it. Even though, like I said, it takes up a lot of time, it is something that I am enjoying doing. Like, I love talking about movies. You know, I love talking about movies. I've said about it multiple times in podcasts and in videos. Like, I made a video about people not really caring about the film and seem to be more interested in the product. So, like the packaging and the quality of the picture, the quality of the audio. Just enjoy the fucking film. That's the whole point of being a film collector, a physical media collector, is that you can watch the movies. You have a library of movies. And that's like one main thing about this channel that I want to get across, is that I am about the movies. Yes, I have a lot of movies on physical, but I care about the movies. Like my knowledge of movies is so insanely deep because of the years of me just watching and researching and reading books and stuff, that I can generally pick out a lot of information to put into videos, and it's trying to get that information across in the video, which I'm finding massively difficult. All the comments on the videos have been amazing. There's been a few dickheads, if I'm going to say it. Point out I say a lot, and I do say a lot. Because I speak so quickly and I speak so much, it's very difficult to edit out those things, and especially the audio. Well, the video editing software that I'm using is CapCut, which I used originally on my phone, and now I use it on my laptop because it's easier to get clips to insert into the videos via my laptop than it is to do it via my phone, because it's a nightmare trying to download movie clips onto my phone, because it's obviously going to take up storage space. and it's going to take up storage space on the laptop. But I got a 1 terabyte hard drive hooked up, which I can use if I need to transfer clips to save up energy. So getting all that information across in a video is really difficult. And so some people have pointed out that I do say and I say yeah and oh, and what I ask questions, like I question myself, like I haven't come prepared. But the whole thing is, if I'm doing a video in one take, if I'm sat there for 40 minutes talking in one take, my mind is going to start to wander, even though I want to get to the point, and I tend to get to the point. My mind is going to start to wander, and I'm going to have trouble remembering every single name of every single person who worked on a film, or every single actor. Like, I couldn't remember the name of Terry Garr the other day. I was like, oh, what's his name? What's her name? She played Roy Neary's wife in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and she was Helga in Young Frankenstein. She recently passed away. She was also Phoebe's mum in Friends. What's her name? I can't remember. She recently passed away. I could not remember her name, and it wasn't until I recorded the video that I remembered that her name was Terry Garr. Why did I not remember that while recording the video? It's because my brain was trying to process multiple different things to talk about, and I wasn't prioritizing certain things. So I completely forgot Terry Garr's name, which sucks. Because it's not a fitting way to pay tribute to someone who recently passed away. So the idea of content creation, doing a podcast, doing videos, doing live streams, like the live streams, like I love doing the live streams, and I will get back into doing them because I love it. I love spending an hour and a half just chatting to people. I will hopefully in the new year be getting a friend on who I used to do podcasts with many moons ago, and we've been talking on and off about doing a new podcast for a couple of years now. It's just having the time to do it and just both being free to do it. And that's something we're going to hopefully do in the new year. And his name's Tim, and Tim is a very good friend of mine. I've known him for about 12, 13 years. And we have very different opinions on film, and the debate works really well when we talk. We used to do a podcast called The Experiment, which was it was generally just an experiment to see how well it worked as a podcast, and we did some pretty interesting stuff. There was at one point we interviewed the writer and director of a British zombie film, which starred Danny Dyer. We didn't speak to Danny Dyer, unfortunately, which would have been cool if we had. Was Danny Dyer in it? Devil something. I can't remember what it's called now. But technically, to be honest, it wasn't a very good movie. And we interviewed the director of a Serbian film. So we did a lot of stuff about a Serbian film because this was when that film had just come out and was causing a lot of controversy, and it was banned from Fright Fest because someone said that it contained child pornography, which it didn't. It was yeah. So Tim's a huge fan of that movie. I don't really care for it anymore. I watched it more times than I actually had any like need to watch it just because of this podcast. But we interviewed the director of a Serbian film, which was a really interesting conversation as well, if I remember rightly. Then we interviewed Jill Kill, who at the time was just working in media, not as anything massive, and she was posting content online and stuff. But now she was one of the co-producers and writers of Stephen King's The Stand, the remake of the 1994 version, which was directed by Mick Garris and written by Stephen King, which is my favorite Stephen King adaptation. But yeah, she was one of the producers and one of the writers on that new adaptation of The Stand, which she's gone on to do loads of really cool stuff. And that was a really good episode. That was an episode where we talked about our favorite 80s movies. And it went from what we thought was going to be like a 90-minute podcast to a 4-hour podcast, which was great. But Tim was really good at audio editing as well. And yeah, so hopefully we can get that going in the new year. That should be fun. I know Tim needs it. I need it. I want to get back to the live streams because I want to start interacting with the guys again. What else is there that I want to do? I want to do more in-depth stuff, and I want to start being able to do voiceover videos, like video essays. Like I said before, I want to start doing video essays. Like I'm trying to do it with this post-apocalypse series. I might do it on like Quentin Tarantino movies. I might do it on zombie films or action cinema. I don't know. I have to think of what the content is that I could do. And what was really surprising was that the last month I've had two really successful videos. The first part of the what is it? The A Brief History of Post-Apocalypse Movies has hit nearly 2,900 views, which is phenomenal, and I did it in only a couple of days. And the other one was the 70s video, which for some reason the algorithm really likes the 70s. So thanks to all the people who have like listened to and watched the videos and the podcast and stuff and commented on everything. I mean, I really do appreciate it. It's not easy trying to come up with ideas for content for YouTube. When you see like other people, especially when it comes to like physical media side of it, unless you're buying every single new release every single week, then it's like I can't do that. I couldn't do that when I was earning good money. So I've become way more selective now with the movies that I purchase compared to what I used to be like. And yeah. So yeah, that seems to be what I'm looking at doing in the new year. So yeah, some good stuff coming. Fingers crossed, hopefully. But I just need the time to be able to do it. Another thing I wanted to talk about is that Sammy G's World of Cinema just put up a really cool video. Go and check him out. Sammy G's great. It was like a New Year's resolution film watching thing where he wanted to visit more independent cinemas, and he had a list of films that he wanted to see, and he wanted to like delve into directors' back catalogs and actors' back catalogs and stuff like Martin Scorsese's films and stuff, and Tarantino's not Tarantino, sorry, Clint Eastwood's filmography, and with Clint Eastwood being one of, if not my favorite filmmaker and actor, I gave him a lot of tips on where to start and some of my favorites. There was a lot of films that he hadn't seen, which was quite surprising. So I think a lot of people gave him some good recommendations and stuff. But that is maybe something I should probably look at as well, is trying to watch more movies, because this year, I mean, this year's been shit. It's been an absolute nightmare year from December to December. Like it was a year ago yesterday that I lost my mum, and yeah, everything just kind of went to shit. But new year, new prospects, new goals, new, you know what they say, new year, new me. And that's yeah. So this year's been wank, but hopefully next year will be 10 times better. And yeah, so that's something I need to do, is probably start watching more movies, because I went through every single film that was released this year to see how many I'd watched, because at the end of every year tend to do a top 10 films and top worst films of the year. This year, out of every single film that has been released, I've only seen 10 of them, like 10 new films. There's movies that I own that came out this year, like Bad Boys Ride or Die. I own it on Blu-ray. I haven't watched it. I'll tell you, I'll go through my list now. So the list is quite short because obviously I didn't watch that many. So let's have a look. There we go. So I posted this on Facebook actually. So out of every single film released this year, and there's been a lot, I've seen 10 of them. Usually I do a countdown of my favorite films of the year, but that is getting increasingly more difficult as the years go by. So I have a small list of films that I saw that I enjoyed. So out of the 10, I think it's 10. Yeah, so out of the 10 movies released this year that I saw, I liked 6. I thought 2 were meh, okay, and there were 2 that I absolutely hated. So in no order, these are the films that I enjoyed, that I liked. Furiosa, because I'm a Mad Max fiend and I love anything that's Mad Max. Deadpool and Wolverine, I thought was hilarious and really well done, and a very fitting end to the 20th Century Fox Marvel Universe, and a really good way of integrating that 20th Century Fox Marvel Universe into the current MCU. Also, Hugh Jackman is incredible in that film. Beverly Hills Cop 4, Axel F, return to form, felt like Beverly Hills Cop 2. Less dark than Beverly Hills Cop 2, but still quite had that same sort of feel to it. The Beekeeper with Jason Statham, written and directed by David Ayer. Was it written by someone else? I know it was directed by David Ayer, but The Beekeeper I thought was great. Jason Statham's badass in that movie. The Fall Guy I thought was really, really good. A lot of fun. Ryan Gosling's comedy chops are fantastic. Emily Blunt's really good in it. And then Civil War, which out of every single film that I saw that I enjoyed, I think Civil War's probably my favorite because of how bleak that film is. And it's really well shot by Alex Garland. Films that I thought were okay: The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I thought it was fun. I didn't really care a lot for it. Felt a little bit Inglourious Bastards-ish, but it was okay. It was when Henry Cavill was fun. It was nice to see Henry Cavill kind of letting loose in that film. And the other one was Role Play, which is a film that I think is on Paramount. Or no, it's on Amazon Prime, sorry. Role Play, it's got Penny from Big Bang Theory in it, and it was fun. It was all right. I quite enjoyed it. It was not one that I put on my top 10 or top 6. Movies that I thought were absolute garbage, or as I put, movies that I thought were shit. Atlas on Netflix, starring Jennifer Lopez and a robot, is essentially just Titanfall the movie. And Titanfall 2 is one of my all-time favorite games. I adore that game, and Atlas kind of rips it off. Jennifer Lopez is massively miscast in that film, and yeah, it's just not very good. And the other one is Roadhouse, the remake of Patrick Swayze's 1989 classic Roadhouse, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor. Film was fucking trash, absolute trash. I hated it. They used CGI to enhance fight scenes when you don't need to. The story just like, I know it's a remake, but they still changed stuff up, and it was just pointless. Jake Gyllenhaal was good. That's the only good thing I could say about that film, is that Jake Gyllenhaal was good. It was just trash, and Doug Liman should be ashamed of himself for making that piece of crap. The movies that I have yet to see. So I haven't seen Alien Romulus. I haven't seen Bad Boys Ride or Die. I haven't seen the remake of The Crow. And another film that I really wanted to watch that I haven't seen is Boy Kills World. So that's like my list of this year's films. I've watched a couple of movies this year, not a huge amount. I watched Brannigan the other night because I bought the Blu-ray. Then I watched Red Sonja with Bridget Nielsen and Arnold Schwarzenegger. That film is rubbish, like absolutely It's so badly done. It's miscast in the form of Bridget Nielsen as Red Sonja. Arnold Schwarzenegger is essentially, well, he was meant to work a week, I think it was, on the film. He was supposed to work a week on the film, but ended up working 4 weeks on the film. Meant to be a cameo as Conan, but they couldn't get the rights to use the character, so he played a character called Calidor instead. It's just crap. Conan the Destroyer is a vastly better film. What else did I watch? I did check out Arrow's Blu-ray of Chronicles of Riddick. Looks good. Looks really good. Great film. The director's cut's better than the theatrical cut, but yeah, I enjoyed it. So this is just going to be a short one tonight. I'm not going to do a 45-minute podcast. Just going to do a quick tell you what's up in it. The next one will probably be before Christmas. It will be a Christmas special, I believe. That is what my list says. My list of ideas or stuff. So yeah, I've been Pedro. This is just a little ramble about the process of making content for YouTube and what's coming up and my favorite films of the year. So thanks everyone. As usual, my name is Pedro. You can't see this, but I'm giving you a salute. I'm throwing up the peace sign and I'm saying I am out. Thanks guys.